Hi guys! Alright, so this is a little different. I'm going to try recording a video of me writing on the smartboard. I want to be able to upload it to YouTube, which is why I'm trying this a little differently. Just got done with cross country, so sorry things are a little messy. But this is our second video, so let's see how it works. Thanks for trying this out with me, guys. I just think it'd be really cool if it did work, but if it doesn't, we'll go back to normal taking notes in class. So these are your 1.2 part 1 notes. The first thing we're going to talk about is absolute value. So just like last time, go ahead and write all this down. Did I say 1.1? I meant 1.2. Okay, 1.2. So the first thing we're going to talk about is absolute value. Okay, so the definition of absolute value is a number's distance from zero. Hopefully you've heard about this before. So I'm looking down here because my notes are down here for myself. So the notation is that we use these straight lines. So for example, you put these straight lines around a number like -3. That means how far is -3 from 0? How many units far is it if you're looking at a number line? So -3 is 3 units from 0. So the absolute value of -3 is 3. Basically, you just take a number and make it positive, whether it was positive or negative to begin with. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. So what I want you guys to do is I'm going to put 4 examples up here. I want you to try these 4 examples. Pause the video and try them. So first I want you to try the absolute value of 5, the absolute value of -5, try the absolute value of 3.2, and this one's kind of tricky, the absolute value of 0. But if you think about the definition, that one's not too hard, okay? All right, do that, push play when you're done. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is inequalities, and you guys have learned about these before too. So we've got a few different symbols. We've got the less than symbol. We have the less than or equal to. That's what the little line under means. And then we have the greater than signs. So we have greater than, and we have greater than or equal to. So those are all of our inequality symbols. You can also just have an equal sign with a line through it, which means not equal to. That's technically also an inequality sign. So I'm hoping you guys already can answer these questions I'm about to put up. So try these 4, just like we just did, and then come to class with at least trying them, and we'll go over them together. So here's the 4 I want you to try. So the instructions for these are true or false. So go ahead and write down the question and write true or false afterward. There's no work to show, which is fine. So I want to know, is this true? Alright, so there's our 4, A, B, C, and D. I think I can see them okay in the video as I can see it. So try those 4, come in with them done, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, we have a couple other things to talk about still. So the next thing we're going to talk about is called the law of opposites. law of opposites. So what the law of opposites says is that for any two numbers, A and negative A, so we're talking about any two numbers, basically the positive version of a number and the negative version of a number. For any two numbers, A and negative A, this is true. A plus negative A, so a number plus its negative equivalent, is equal to 0. So for example, it says that 2 plus negative 2 is 0. I think we knew that, right? So that's the law of opposites. So what I want you guys to do is find the opposite of each of these numbers. So it's whatever added to the number would equal 0. Whatever added to the number would equal 0. It should be its opposite sign, basically. So here's the 4, or here's the 3 I want you to try. Find the opposite of negative 16.3. Find the opposite of 30. And find the opposite of 0. So for all of these, I want you to find the opposite. That's your instruction on all 3. Okay? Find the opposite. All right, now I'm going to skip a part of our book. Okay? I'm skipping adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. I think you guys are pretty good with that, I hope. Okay, but I'm going to give you some sample ones that are a little bit tricky just so we can talk about it and refresh our memory. So I'm skipping adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, but I want you to try these. Okay, I want you to try 3 plus negative 7. I want you to try 5.1 minus negative 6. I want you to try 3/5 minus 6/7. I know, you're not going to like that. Fractions getting involved. And I want you to try 2 more. 1/7 times negative 2/5. That's a multiplication right there. And then last, I want you to try dividing fractions. I want you to try 3/8 divided by 1/3. Okay, try those 5 for me. I'm hoping we just need a teeny bit of brushing up at the most. So try those 5 for me. We've got a couple more things to take notes on. Okay, let me see what my time is here. Okay, we're good, 8 minutes. I'll try to go fast. All right, so I want to talk about the sign of a fraction. All right, this will be quick, but this is something that a lot of people get confused a lot. So I want you to know that if you have a negative over a positive, that just means it's a negative fraction, right? Because a negative divided by a positive is negative. This is the same as if I put the negative sign on bottom of the fraction, and it's the same as if I put the negative on the outside of the fraction. Those are all the exact same thing. So, for example, negative 1/2 is the same as 1 over negative 2, which is the same as a negative and then a half. Those are all exactly the same. People get that confused, so I wanted to talk about that. Okay? That's the sign of a fraction. All right, next thing I want to talk about is the reciprocal. Okay, this should be something we know fairly well already. So the reciprocal is when you flip the numerator and denominator of a fraction. So if we have the number 3, which we can write as 3 over 1, right? If we want to write the reciprocal of that, we just flip it 1/3. Okay, and if a fraction's negative, just keep it negative when you write the reciprocal. Okay, one thing I want you guys to think about is this question. What will the product, you don't have to write this question down, just write down the answer if you have something for it. What will the product of a number and its reciprocal be? Okay, I want you to think about that. What will the product of a number and its reciprocal be? Okay, the answer to that is the law of reciprocals. Okay, we'll go over that tomorrow. Okay, two more things to look at. Two more things. All right, one of these things is dividing by 0. Okay, so one thing, we should kind of know this. If we take any non-zero number and divide it by 0, it is, you know it, undefined. Okay, it is called undefined. So 3 divided by 0 is undefined. This is something you might not have really talked about before. If we take 0 divided by 0, this is a little line, it's not a negative. 0 divided by 0, we actually don't call this undefined, we call it indeterminate. Indeterminate. Make sure I spell it right. Nit. Okay? So 0 divided by 0 is indeterminate. Any other non-zero number divided by 0 is undefined. All right, one more thing. We're going to talk about exponents for a second. I know we're jumping all over the place, but this is supposed to be a little bit of a review for you. So what I want to talk about with exponents is their sign, okay? So this is different than this. -5 in parentheses squared is different than just a -5 squared, all right? So if we have a number in parentheses and it's being squared, you're going to take everything that's in parentheses and square it. So this means -5 times itself. -5 times -5. Well, negative times negative is positive. So this is positive 25. The best way I think to think about this one is that you want to think about this as this negative, it's not being squared. It's almost as if you had -1 times 5 squared. Just the 5 is being squared, not the negative, because the negative is not in parentheses. So in this case, well, if we're doing order of operations, we have to do the 5 squared first, right? Which is 25. So we're really doing -1 times 25. So our answer in this case is -25. Okay, so they're very different. It's a really big distinction. Okay, so we want to really keep that in mind. We're going to do a bunch of practice problems to cover all of this stuff when you come back to class tomorrow, as long as this is all working with the videos and everything. Let me know if you have things you would improve, or if you just don't like this and you don't want to do it anymore, or if you love it, let me know. Either way, I'm really interested to see how this is going. So thanks for tuning in to my YouTube channel, guys. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.